it doesn't matter really where you're coming from, but the stories are non-stop when it comes to West Ham being linked to players. And the new link coming to us is the fact that West Ham are interested in Norwich City winger Max Aarons. Now, this is a player that has been on the radar for West Ham for a couple of years. Now, listen, you ask me, how do you know he's on the radar? Well, we don't categorically know for a fact that these players are on West Ham's radar, but we're led to believe that 2 to 3 years ago, David Moyes took a keen interest in the winger to bring him to West Ham. And apparently now, because especially the fact that Max Aarons himself has announced that he is going to leave Norwich City in the summer, West Ham have been linked once again to the fullback. Now, this here is about, do we really need him? Is he the right fit? What is the situation when it comes to Max Aarons? So whilst you're watching, if you do get a chance, hit the thumbs up. Please put it in the comments below and let me know your thoughts as well. But he is, the right back contract is about to expire. Sorry, it's not going to expire until next season. So sorry, it's not expiring this summer, but it's expiring at the end of next season. So Norwich have an asset, and they may not want to lose the asset, considering that he is saying that, you know, this is my farewell, my swan song, this is me heading out the door. And he has personally confirmed that as well. And that has made many teams know that he is available. Now, during his 44 championship starts last season, the academy graduate established himself in Norwich City's team. No ifs or buts about it. Both third defensive and offensive best performing player. So as much as he likes to get forward, which is what we know about him, not really the holy grail about him is his defense, but he has proven at championship level in particular that he does and will get back. But I suppose the big question is, do we need him, and does he defend? Well, essentially, he's not really technically a defensive type of wing back, but I wonder if this is what David Moyes is trying to do. Now, back in 2021, West Ham were credited with an interest in the 23-year-old, but that move failed to materialise. Now, according to several reports, we are set to make a move, having been made aware that he is willing to leave his boyhood club. Now, he apparently attracted a lot of interest from clubs all over the world a couple of years ago. And we are obviously looking to and are keen to bolster our kind of fullback options. And we've got Vladimir Sefal, and we've got Ben Johnson, who is potentially heading out the door. But a lot of people I'm hearing is, you know, is there any difference between Max Aarons and Ben Johnson? But let me put it to you like this: when it comes to Ben Johnson, for example, you know, I think he's harshly treated at West Ham. I think he's had so many different positions that he's had to play, and he's never had a chance to really settle down in one position and give it his all in there. And I think the season when we played in Europa League was when we saw the best of Ben Johnson, but people weren't enamored by his defensive duties. Now, we are going to have a healthy budget once the Declan Rice move happens, and he heads to Arsenal. But Norwich do have a very good right back. He made a total of 84 tackles in the season just past, which was more than any other member of his squad. And alongside that, he averaged 1.4 clearances per game. And he was a threat going forward. He ranked in the 99th percentile for progressive carries. So he loves to take on his marker. And when having to make it into the opposition box, he whipped in 102 crosses into the area, which is the second highest number in England. So he would be a very good acquisition if you look at those particular stats. And I do like that. And I think to myself, is this potentially a young Vladimir Sefal? He, in his first season in senior football, made it into the championship team of the season with his performances. That's back in 2018 and 19. He also won the EFL Young Player of the Season award back in 2018-19 season. And he was a regular for Norwich when they were in the top flight in the Premier League. And he helped them just to get 5 clean sheets. But he won 54% of his ground duels and created 7 big chances. So he's got Premier League experience. And that wasn't enough to keep Norwich in the Premier League, but he does have that experience. He is born in Hammersmith. He's made over 213 appearances for the club, bagging 6 goals with 17 assists. And I think he potentially would add a new dimension to our right-hand side. I think he is such a progressive player. If you think a little bit like Emerson, when Emerson was brought in, he's a forward-thinking wing-back that doesn't want to necessarily defend. That's not really his forte. And I think really from when you're looking at the players that we're linked to, and there's not been many in the fullback positions, but if you are looking at these players that we're linked to in the fullback positions, then we're looking at players who have the ability to get forward more than they do defensively. And it maybe alludes to the fact that David Moyes is going to potentially switch this up. There's rumours that Norwich are going to be pushing for as much money as they possibly can if he's only got 1 year left in his contract. But West Ham will know the situation there with 1 year left in your contract, and they can probably not value him at the level that they do. I mean, I've heard random numbers like 20 plus million for the fullback. It's not going to happen. It is not going to happen. And if they are genuinely looking at that, then that's something that West Ham are not going to pay. I'd be flabbergasted if West Ham even went anywhere near him if that was the amount of money that they were willing to pay for that. That's a position that we definitely need to look at unless we're going to give Ben Johnson the benefit of the doubt and give him and Vladimir Sefal that opportunity with Thilo Kehrer being the backup option for fullback with them as well, or potentially him switching into that role. I don't know if it's for me, it's a position that we've now got the new technical director in, and he may be rejigging the whole situation of what we're targeting now. For me, part of me thinks that maybe he's had some form of involvement before his job started today, and maybe he has scouted some of these players. But sometimes it takes a player to fit a piece of jigsaw, and sometimes that player may fit a system under a different manager and may be better and find their best form. So, even in the West Ham network chat, people are not enamored by bringing Max Aarons in. I'm not so dead against it to the level that other people are. I see it as a progressive move by West Ham for a young English talent who's got Premier League experience, Championship experience, and has been at the highest level, albeit, yes, when he was in the Championship, but it's got a little bit of Premier League experience as well. And I think adding something like that, a player that gets forward, 102 crosses in a season into the box, yes, okay, Championship, but that's something that we've been crying out for a lot. When Vladimir Sefal came in his first season, that's all he did was get down that side and fling that ball into the box. And obviously, Vladimir Sefal is going to make a big statement in terms of trying to maintain his position at the fullback place next year. But is Max Aarons someone that can come in and fulfill that ambition that we need? We're going to be playing a lot more games again next season. He also can chop and change. He can play a little bit further forward. So God forbid the situation happens and Jared Bowen was to pick up an injury, then you've got someone who can, push forward and play in that kind of forward role on the right hand side, and the prospect of maybe a Jared Bowen and a Max Aarons down that right hand side can be mouth-watering. But yes, I get it. It doesn't enamor you. I get it. It's not really where we should be focusing. But equally, though, if we are focusing there, is that the player that you want? But he does tick a lot of boxes. Championship proven, yes. Can he play in the Premier League? Well, he's got experience playing in there. Is he good at getting forward? Absolutely. Let's look at his stats. Let's look at what Tim Steidham would look at. He really dives in deep into his stats. 99th percentile for moving forward and progressive carries on the park. Top third for players in his defensive duties, top third for players getting forward, Premier League experience. He's been part and parcel of a lot of situations. So there's a reasonable amount of excitement when it comes to the link to Max Aarons, but this all comes down to money. This all comes simply down to money. Will we bring him in and will we pay the fee that potentially Norwich want for the player? I reckon, I'll be honest with you, listen, Norwich, what will Norwich sell for? Would they sell for anything below 10 million? Probably not. Will West Ham want to pay anything over 10 million? I don't know. Possibly 23, 24 years old. coming into the height of his game. A lot of good experience, good at getting forward. It's worth a punt, is it not? You let me know. Put it in the comments below. He's not necessarily coming in the door. It's just a lot of rumours now saying that the reports are linking with us. So yeah, put it in the comments. Let us know your thoughts on Max Aarons from Norwich City coming to West Ham, and we'll speak to you soon. Come on, you